A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa, or rather the week that was, where we get to look at the news that made headlines across Kenya and indeed the continent and the world in the course of this week, and some of the things that we've been talking about here. My name is Miriam Magutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board this morning. Before I get into the headlines, I'm joined by Sharon Gitonga from Nairobi. Sharon Gitonga, very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam, from Nairobi, and all our viewers who are watching us, whether it's in Kenya, Africa, and the entire continent. It is a pleasure to be part of, this show. Good morning.
All right, good morning indeed. And as we wait for the rest to join, I'll just take us through quickly on what is making headlines this morning on the leading newspapers. And we start with the Star newspaper, and the main headline on the Star newspaper this morning: Oka's 5 tough options as Raila Ruto dash for 2022. Team promises supporters they will hold together as the election approaches, dismisses claims of backstabbing and feuding. The story is on page 4 and 5 on the Star newspaper. And why Moi girls student banned schools, leaving 10 dead. That is the main headline and the main pictorial on the Star newspaper. And just beside that, get flu vaccine, how Kemri boss advises all Kenyans. And I think that is something that perhaps all of us should consider right now with the outbreak of this flu that has been confirmed by Kemri and indeed the Ministry of Health. And judges to enjoy 150 million Kenya shillings leisure cash in new package by SRC. And how we killed lawyer Willie Kimani, witness narrates in court, and you'll find that story on page 8 of the Star newspaper. So that is what we have on the front page of the Star newspaper. So now we turn our attention to the Standard newspaper. And the main headline on the Standard newspaper: Raila rides a storm to craft a new coalition. ODM leaders' coalition building skills are legendary, having started way back in 1997. And now faced with an aggressive competitor, Raila will have to go an extra mile to breathe life into Azimio after a former NASA allies kept off. The story is on page 8 of the Standard newspaper. Caning teachers to pay 4.2 million Kenya shillings amid call to change. And teachers punished a student for indiscipline in March and inflicted injuries. And yesterday, a judge found that the 2 teachers and school had violated the minors' rights. Parents sued after police failed to press criminal charges, and teachers now say gaps in the Children's Act and the Basic Education Act must be addressed to stem indiscipline among learners. And I think this is a conversation we've been having now for a while. The story is on page 6 and 7 of the Standard newspaper. I tracked lawyer Willie Kimani before his death. That is on page 10. And South Africa's Omicron experience, you'll find that on page 37. Sarko's hidden loan charges, that is on page 38. And Arsenal bounce after Auber, that you'll find on the sport page on page 52. DJ Evolve's father speaks on Babu Deal. You'll find that on a special report on page 12 and 13 of the Standard newspaper. And then we turn our attention to the Daily Nation, and the main headline on the Daily Nation: Ruto MPs plot showdown on Uhuru Raila Azimio plans. Leaders allied to Deputy President William Ruto vow to shoot down proposed amendments intended to create a legal structure for the formation of a political coalition. 2 special sittings of the National Assembly are planned for next week, when the changes are contained in a bill by House Majority Leader Amos Kimunya are slated for debate. The story is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. Why the changes matter to Raila's State House race. President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga are relying on the amendments to form a coalition party ahead of next year's general election. And storm over plan to shut 63 NAT branches and to raise retirement age. You'll find that on the back page. And OKA to go it alone leaders rebuff overtures by Ruto and Raila. More homes headed by women. That is according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. In 2019, remember when we had that census that estimated that about 32.4% of the 11.4 11.41 million households in Kenya were headed by women. Women are found to head more households in rural areas as 36% compared to 28.7% in towns. This was partly attributed to the fact that many men migrated from rural to urban areas in search of employment, leaving behind women to take care of the family and property. I think that is quite interesting, but not surprising at all. So that is where we shall start our conversation this morning, and that is what we have on the front pages of the leading newspapers this morning. So Sharon, I don't know are you surprised by this information from the census we did in 2019? More women are found to be having homes here in Kenya.
Miriam, I think there's a point I didn't understand clearly when you talk about the number of women. Are they the ones, they're actually overtaking the homes by being that are they in urban, or what exactly is, the point of...
They are the ones who are heading, providing, basically heading, their homes. And that is according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. That's after we did the census in 2019, that estimated that about 32.4% of the 11.41 million households in Kenya were headed by women. Men are not present.
Okay, I think that's quite interesting. And the biggest question I think we would tend to ask is, where are the men at? I think there is a deficit of, the moral fabric of our society, because, I think we are a patriarchal society. So when I hear, women actually are leading, in terms of heading homes, this is quite interesting. Yeah. And maybe this is something that probably we would actually want to find out, especially from the men. Where are they? And probably why are they not, being in homes? Yeah. So for me, I think this is, quite interesting. But at the same time, also on a positive, flip side is to see women, and I'm sure most men would not want to hear this, that, okay, even when you look at in terms of leadership, I think even women are at the rise. You have seen even what is happening in Kenya currently is that most of the spaces that, are believed to be, held up and what I could call, are meant for the men right now, women are taking over. You've seen recently our CJ, Martha Koome. You've also seen, the current governor of Nairobi County, something that has not been there before. So I think also on a positive note, as much as, women are, getting empowered and taking up spaces for leadership, I think for me, that is also something, it is something to maybe celebrate.
All right, very well. But also when you go to a lot of our villages, I think it's women who do the majority of the works there. I don't know how that looks like in your village, but I know in my village, you'll find that women are the ones who are in control. Women are the ones who will be tilling the land most part of the day. Women are the ones who will be, who know what's really going on in the family. So I am really not surprised. But anyway, I think the roles are changing as times go by. So I think before we get into the politics and the week that was, as we wait for the rest to join us, there is an important information that perhaps, Kenyans and the rest of the world who are watching this morning needs to know. And that is according to the World Health Organization, Omicron is milder and leads to fewer hospitalizations. Those admitted with the variant don't stay long in hospital. Omicron is now the 5th variant of concern officially recognized. So let's just look at that story, because I think after that story broke out, I think a lot of people across the world became very worried, wondering what will this new variant looks like. So I think this could be some good news and might ease a lot of that nervousness that people have been experiencing. All right, so the story is on page 10 of the Daily Nation. On Wednesday, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe announced that Kenya had detected 3 cases of Omicron, a variant of COVID-19, brought to the attention of the world by a South African scientist. The variant has now spread to about 77 countries. Omicron is now the 5th variant of concern, officially recognized and named by the World Health Organization. It was named after the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet, a consensus that the World Health Organization came up with after deciding to skip 2 letters next in line after Delta variant. And in a press briefing, World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus acknowledged that Omicron is spreading at a rate not seen with any previous variant. Primarily preliminary data from South Africa scientists show that it spreads twice as fast as Delta variant. They also discovered that most people who had the variant had been previously infected. Okay. So population level evidence suggests that the Omicron variant is associated with substantial ability to evade immunity from prior infection. In contrast, there is no population-wide epidemiological evidence of immune escape associated with Beta or Delta variants. This finding has important implications for public health planning, said the South African study. But on Wednesday, a team of researchers presented their findings to the World Health Organization, and the latter acknowledged that while studies are coming in derves, thorough reviews must be conducted, and the World Health Organization indicated that Omicron is likely to escape vaccines because it has heavily mutated compared with the previous variants. But apparently, even the people who have contracted this new virus, it is not as deadly as perhaps it was perceived, but it is spreading more faster than Delta and Beta variants that you've seen spread and cause some bit of panic before. So in a flip side, this is a relief as much as we are battling this.
Miriam, I wouldn't want to quite, categorically say that it is actually a relief, even given the fact that it is actually spreading more faster. And I believe the reason as to why it is less deadly, and it's actually mostly to the people who have been vaccinated and not just to anyone who has not been vaccinated.
The people who had already contracted COVID-19 before. Not who have been vaccinated.
Okay, yeah. But, be as it may, I don't really want to be any optimistic because we're still not out of the woods yet. And like we've always said here, before, over and over, is that we still need to, look into the stringent and, deterrent measures that have been put in place by the Ministry of Health, especially now that we are actually towards the, the merry and the festive season, and people have lowered the guards. I mean, I've seen people I've gotten back to the norm of even shaking hands. And after that, you don't even sanitize, you don't even wash hands. People are now, partying, and the concerts are open. I mean, the economies are open, but people are not even keen to, observe the guidelines that have been put in place, which is also quite unfortunate because even if you look at the political space, that's a whole different ballgame that no political leader have had even talking about, and actually insisting and emphasizing on the need for the public to actually, put on masks even as they go to listen to what, these different political leaders have to offer. And also, when you look at the uptake of the vaccine, I think it's high time people look at now what we have. We have the new, we have the new flu that is here with us. Who knows the other variant that is going to come? I mean, I think we have been in this whole scenario since 2019, and by now you can clearly say that this disease is not going to leave anytime soon. But what is going to save us is the uptake of more vaccines, so that in case we have any kind of other variant coming on board, we are able to be protected, and also at the same time also trying to observe the MOH guidelines. Also let everyone know that their health is in their hands. It is a personal responsibility for each and every person. I think the government has done what they have done best, to an extent of even opening up a biovax farm that is meant to manufacture our own COVID vaccine come April 2022. That is before Easter, or rather the period of Easter. But at the end of the day, the government has done the best. We have enough vaccines now. We have enough resources. We have enough everything. But at the end of the day, it begs the question of the public. People need to take up and exercise personal responsibility to ensure that they protect themselves, and not just themselves, but even the people they love, because this is a disease that, has proven, to take up lives that are, even premature deaths. So at the end of the day, people also need to take up responsibility. And finally, also maybe even at the airport, just like what we've all been talking about, having more, measures and the likes of document verifiers, so that we don't have we don't keep on, having, people that are coming in, or rather people that are in transit here in Kenya, transmitting the disease that is said to, spread 500% faster than, the Delta that spread at 60%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, the World Health Organization has said that Omicron is milder and leads to fewer hospitalizations, and those admitted with the variant do not stay long in the hospital. Its mild nature presents symptoms associated with the previous strains of the coronavirus, but no specific symptoms have been published, even in the preprint studies. So that is that. All right, so just keep social distancing, wash your hands, sanitize, wear your mask whenever you're out there in public. And if you really don't have to be in a crowded place, just love yourself enough to stay away, I think, because as Sharon there has rightly pointed out, I think we've become so relaxed. People have forgotten we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we're just walking around as if things are it's business as usual. No, it's not. It is not. They're still in the woods, okay? And so the main headline on the Daily Nation: Ruto MPs plot showdown on Uhuru Raila Azimio plans. Let's see what that is about. The story is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. Lawmakers allied to Deputy President William Ruto have vowed to shoot down proposed amendments to the electoral law in next week's special parliamentary sittings, setting the stage for a showdown with those allied to the nascent Azimio la Umoja movement. The amendments that are up for discussion are backed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga, and intended to create a legal structure for the formation of a political coalition under the Azimio la Umoja banner. 2 special sittings of the National Assembly are planned for December 21st and 22nd, where the amendments in a bill signed by House Majority Leader Amos Kimunya are slated for debate. DP Ruto allied MPs, including Eden Duale of Garissa Town, Cecily Barire, Kositan, and others, in a separate interviews declared they would oppose the government-sponsored political parties amendment bill 2021, terming it an attempt to reintroduce party dictatorship. Mr. Kimunya and the ODM Secretary of Political Affairs, Opiyo Wandayi, downplayed the threats, arguing that it is intended to promote the rule of law. Now, President Kenyatta and Mr. Odinga are relying on the amendment to form a coalition party ahead of next week's poll. And I'm trying to find out what these amendments, because I was watching it last evening in the news. So perhaps for the sake of our viewers out there, I'm just trying to find out where a nation has outlined some of the things that are included in this amendment. Now, the amendment further seeks to strengthen Section 14 of the principal law to have party members expelled on the basis of violation of their party constitutions. There we go, Sharon Gitonga. Are you surprised? Because that is one of the things that this political party amendment bill seeks to sort out, because we've seen the indiscipline that has been going on in all parties here in the country. But these new amendments, one seeks to strengthen Section 14 of the principal law to have party members expelled on the basis of violating their party constitutions. Why would anybody have a problem with that?
Miriam, it's quite interesting, and especially when it comes to the UDA and its cronies, how fast they're usually quick to, oppose everything. And I think what is happening currently with the UDA is a reflection of what was happening in 2017, with the opposition party, just that this time it's, with different players. And it's quite unfortunate that we are bound to see more. But I think one thing, I agree, with the rule of law, where especially when it comes to, strengthening the political parties that I believe have been run, with no governance. And you have seen how previously different political players have been, championing, and especially even when you see what happened, with, Ruto, leaving Jubilee, which was the ruling party, and which actually is what the party that sponsored him to the, to the government, and instead, forming a different party and championing its agenda that is different from the ruling party, which is something quite unfortunate that people have not, that no one who has ever called it out. But when I see these kind of laws actually coming into place, I think it's going to discipline so many political players, and it's also I was actually saying the other day, I would not be surprised if at any point we have, the UDA Asili or, UDA Kenya, because I mean, each and every electioneering period, it's like we have, every political players with different party. And, the other day I was seeing, former governor of Kiambu County, Waititu, saying that actually he chose to, move to UDA because he believes this time he's going to be, elected back by the Kiambu people. And the reason as to why he actually had joined KANU then is because he was trying to protect his affiliation, his political affiliation. And that begs the question of where is the loyalty and the priorities? And this is also something which is also questionable, especially to the leaders that we put in place. When you talk about, strengthening integrity and the character of the person, because I believe this is also something that speaks. If someone cannot, stay loyal to a party, it also begs the question of, their character and integrity and their leadership base. People who have, duplicity, people who are people of, different shirts. And I think this is something that should be called out. Then on the other hand, about, the issue of coalitions, I believe each and every person, I think coalitions are very important, and someone that does not, take up the point of coalition, I think for me, from where I stand, I would tend to call that person a dictator, because why else do you want power to be upon you? Like you're the person that is always, at the sayer, and which is quite unfortunate, because in this country we cannot, we cannot entrust the leadership of this country to people that are dictators. If you look at what the former prime minister is doing, he's really warming up to craft up, different coalitions of, as long as, there are people with like-mindedness. And that is something that, each and every person should embrace, because at the end of the day, you cannot succeed alone. And, like they always say, you either unite or perish alone. Thank you.
All right, Sharon, very well said. Thank you so much. We're also joined by Samuel Tawish, a journalist from Nairobi. Samuel Tawish, a very good morning to you and nice to see you.
Very good morning indeed to you, Miriam Mugutu, and my colleague panelist, Sharon Gitoga, and of course, all our viewers watching this program in Kenya and the rest of the world. My pleasure to join you on this program.
All right, so the discussion that we're having right now is that Ruto allies plot house showdowns on Raila and Uhuru Azimio Plus. The stories on page 4 of the Daily Nation, and lawmakers allied to Deputy President William Ruto have vowed to shoot down proposed amendments to the electoral law in next week's special parliamentary sittings, setting the stage for a showdown with those allied to the nascent Azimio La Umoja movement. So let me just take us through quickly some of the things that have been included in this new proposed law. The amendments further seek to strengthen Section 14 of the principal law to have party members expelled on the basis of violating their party constitutions, and then parties get into exclusive coalitions of their own volitions and not to be shepherded into ceding the right to field candidates in an election to the coalition. That is what Duale said, opposing the proposed amendment. And the proponents of this bill also want coalition agreements signed 6 months to elections, perhaps to allow room for joint nominations. ODM, Wiper, ANC, Ford Kenya, and CCM signed the National Super Alliance Coalition Agreement less than 3 months to the 2017 polls. And so they're saying now these new amendments, that should be done 6 months before the polls. And also, the fact that this amendment seeks to have members expelled from a party if they violate the party's constitution. That is how it should be. Why would anybody not want this? Somewhat I wish. For the sake of discipline in our politics, as you said, it's lacking.
Well, thank you so much, Miriam, and thank you, Sharon, of course, for your sentiments on this particular topic. And indeed, Miriam, I wouldn't quite be surprised that Deputy President William Ruto's troops will be coming to oppose this, because that has always been the nature of their master. Deputy President William Ruto has never seen anything good for this country, and he's never supported any initiative that means well for this country, be it the fight for multi-party democracy, be it fight for opening up the democratic space for the politicians and also for the people of Kenya. So the man is not known for any good credentials, Miriam. He has no any good history, and therefore, when you hear people who coalesce around Deputy President William Ruto come and say they are going to oppose this, it's not actually based on merit or on objectivity, but simply because they want, of course, to engage in the political showdown, just like you said. Because again, what is wrong in this being, of course, anchored in the electoral laws, anchored in our laws, so that anybody who is going to say, for example, to benefit out of these coalitions that are going to be formed in these coming elections, and even for posterity purposes, is not going to lose their sense like we have witnessed in the past. In fact, as we speak today, Miriam, most of the people who, of course, coalesce around Deputy President William Ruto are the biggest beneficiaries of people who really have switched to camp from their primary parties that sponsored them into elections and made them even victors in those elections. And even as we speak now, you saw how many people who there were attempts by various political parties really to have these people, of course, they whipped from their parties, and that essentially meant that they were going to lose their seats. You saw what happened with the nominated Senator Mwaura. And you also saw what happened with Aisha Juma when there were attempts by ODM party, of course, to remove him from her seat. I beg your pardon. And I mean, these people had to go to the courts to try and battle it out, to try and look for a reprieve. And thank God we have a very vibrant constitution, one which allows and has that space, really, a window that one can go and petition and lodge a petition and be successful. And that's why these people, up to date, really continue to serve in their respective, of course, capacities. Miriam, I want to assure you that there's nothing good that will come from Deputy President William Ruto. I remember, even in the run-up to you remember about the banana and orange campaigns in 2005. That time, of course, he was with Raila Amolo Odinga. These are individuals who opposed the change of the constitution, the Wako draft then. I remember very well. And that's even where the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, was birthed. In 2007, we saw what happened to this country. 2010, of course, I mean, almost everybody from every part of this country rallied behind, of course, the initiative to have a change in the constitution, and successfully so. Kenyans managed to adopt a new constitution in 2010, which Deputy President William Ruto, of course, led the brigade that was opposing it. Down the memory lane, you've seen, of course, also in the lead up to the BBI, there were attempts also to have a change in the constitution. And these changes of the constitution have nothing completely to do with an individual or a particular person. It is for the posterity of this nation. It is about how the people of Kenya will want to be governed moving into the future. But because William Ruto and the people around him are those who are selfish, people who do not see anything good for the people of Kenya, they will always come and oppose it. But very unfortunately also, Miriam, these are the people who have always come out as beneficiaries of the same processes and initiatives that they have always opposed. Say, for example, Miriam, had we passed BBI, the one which Deputy President William Ruto continues to castigate every other day, maybe some of these challenges that we experience in governance and political leadership could have been avoided. Maybe we would have had a solution. Say, for example, representation. We would have had a president, a deputy president, a prime minister, two deputy prime minister. I mean, we would have accommodated so much of the interest of the wider image of this country. But because Deputy President is a man who he is, and always we have known him for opposing every good intent and initiatives for the purpose of improving governance in this country, I will not be surprised that he will be coming to oppose this. But I can assure you, Miriam, like you said, it's going to be a showdown indeed. And President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Odinga and other politicians allied to them, including ANC, Ford Kenya, and other political parties, are going to gang up, not because they want this thing for their own good, but for the purpose of ensuring that Kenyans are going to benefit and these electoral changes are going to be for posterity purposes. So Deputy President William Ruto equally must brace for a defeat. There's an imminent defeat, even when he rallies his troops in the floor of the House to oppose these amendments. I submit, Miriam.
All right. Now, Mrs. Mbarire, I think she's allied to Deputy President William Ruto, faulted the timing, saying they've talked of forming a coalition and are therefore creating this law for their own selfish interest, like they tried with the BPI but failed spectacularly. This is not right. This bill should not be supported. She noted that expelling members on account of going against their party ideologies is modern-day dictatorship. Tawish, could you just respond to that before I get on to Sharon?
I do not quite subscribe to that thinking that expelling members, for instance, who go against their party. Miriam, just like a football team, like in it is the disposal of the party, and you go and play and score. That's why they usually say an own goal scored by your own teammate. I mean, Miriam, this is something that cannot be quite allowed to proceed. I think for us to entrench party discipline, regardless whether we're going to have coalitions or individual political parties, people must get to understand and align themselves to the dictates of the party that sponsors them to the election. That is something that should not be negotiable, and nobody should try to attribute that to be dictatorship. I do not think so, and I think people who are doing that are those who are victims of what is happening today, people who have been perpetuating that vice of party indiscipline because they've been jump shipping and they have ignored and left the parties that sponsor them, and now they are roaming around with other parties in the name of supporting the hustler movement. This is quite unfortunate, and I do not quite agree that that is a dictatorship, Miriam.
Okay, Sharon, now, Ms. Mbarire is saying, they're trying to create this new law because now they want to form a coalition. And of course, she's saying the BBI failed. And so now they want to create this new law that it seems she's terming it as dictatorship when it comes to the Kenyan politics. What does this law have to do with the BBI? Or did you have an article on that, on the BBI, and I missed it because I don't remember any of that being in the BBI?
Miriam, thank you so much for that question. And of course, Tawish, for your sentiments. And I also don't subscribe to that narrative of having, dictatorship because, and I think what is actually happening to these older cronies, it's like signs of conceding defeat because he actually knows that it's actually going to be a political blow to him. Immediately, maybe the bill actually ascends to law because what will happen, he's going to be forcefully picked out or even kicked out of Jubilee, and which he actually has said before that he's not actually interested. But the most surprising thing is that he's still holding there because he knows there's a narrative that people hold about Jubilee and him being affiliated to it, and so because most of the people really do not know so much about UDA, but people actually know much about him. The fact that he's actually associated with Jubilee. So he's saying these are signs of conceding defeat, and they actually know very well that if this bill actually gets to a point of ascending into law, it's going to be a political blow to him and he's going to lose big time. He's going to lose not just, his presidential bid, but, even the machineries that, he's been walking around with and, having MPs always at Karen. And my biggest question is, when do these MPs ever work? The likes of Rigathi Gachagua, they're always in Karen. These actually are, state machineries. I mean, what time do they work? And, it also speaks so much into the kind of leadership that you have in this country. I mean, people, rather leaders that are about to, create, or create value destruction as opposed to, value creation. And that is something that really needs to be looked into because I think, and I believe that any leader, who has the best interest of the people at heart is going to be, at the forefront trying to champion these these kind of laws. So when they start speaking about dictatorship and that they don't want to be affiliated with these kind of laws, I think this is something that Kenyans also really need to look into when it comes to the leadership. And I hope this time round that people are not going to be swayed around by the politics of euphoria and what we call demagoguery of different political leaders who are all over trying to appease people, but look also into leaders that have the interest of the people at heart and the posterity of this nation, and leaders that will look into issue-based politics as opposed to their own interest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And speaking of which, just beside that story now on page 4, move to page 5, and why Ruto is upset with small parties. Deputy President William Ruto has stepped up attacks on new parties, which he discredits as tribal outfits, suggesting he's feeling the heat of coalition schemes by his rivals ahead of next year's general election. It would appear President Kenyatta and Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga are propping up for regional parties. At least 10 have emerged in Mount Kenya alone to take on the DP's United Democratic Alliance, UDA, and rivals in the One Kenya Alliance, who refuse to play ball. As his rivals have intensified plans to form a broad coalition, the DP has consistently sought to portray these efforts as a coalescing of tribal chiefs whose mission, he says, is to block him from the presidency. Let us all rally behind solid political parties that are centered on the issues of the people, he told a delegation from Samburu and Kajiado counties at his current residence in Nairobi on Tuesday. And I think that is just one of the reasons why there was a fallout between him and Gatundu South Member of Parliament, Moses Kuria. Remember when Moses Kuria decided to form his own party, and the DP did not like it very much. So he continues to get upset by this formation of these small parties. Why do you think this is so, Tawish?
Miriam, I can assure you that Deputy President William Ruto is one man who really fears and does not want competition. And that is why you see even in his United Democratic Alliance party, he does not want any serious politician to be around that formation. And he is only but moving around with the political greenhorns or people who are rejected in the previous elections. He does not want any serious politicians to come on board, at least not now, because he knows they will pose a challenge to him. And Miriam, there's a lot that can be said of Deputy President William Ruto. Look at what happened, for example, how he bungled the Jubilee nomination in the run-up to 2017 general election. In Nairobi, instead of us having a sound politician like Peter Kenneth or somebody else, he forced, of course, Mike Sonko down the throat of Nairobians. Look at what happened, for example, in Kiambu. He had to manipulate a nomination to make sure that the likes of Waititu become governors in Kiambu County. And I can quite tell you, Miriam, he was not doing this for the simple reason that he meant so much for Waititu, or he meant so much for the people of Kiambu. But he knew very well that if you had people like Kabogo William being re-elected for a second term as a governor, this is a very serious politician who is always on who always stands on his word, a man of his word. And he knew very well that if he was going to be re-elected again, who could pose a very big challenge when it came to the presidential election in 2022. And so because of this, William Ruto made sure that these guys had to fall down during that particular nomination, so that they do not have any prospect or even a platform to continue being at to continue being at the political limelight in this country. And today, as we speak, Miriam, even in the forest, in our forest today, or even in the animal family today, we have the big five. And what Deputy President William Ruto has done as one of the big five is gone and picked the small animals. They picked the small animals and said that he's building a very big group of animals in the forest, and that there's going to be a free and fair nomination and competition within that particular race of who is going to become the leader of the animals in the forest, when we all know that you cannot be a lion and pick a rat to come and compete with a lion. Indeed, it is just something that is a foregone conclusion that the lion is always to have to take the day, and that is what Deputy President William Ruto is doing. He fears competition, and he will not wish that that really happens. And even as we head into 2022 general election, Miriam, you're going to be surprised. There's going to be a very major fallout within the UDA because he is not a man who believes in democracy in the first place. I mean, he was in Kanu. He moved and came to, I think, was it in ODM? And afterwards, he created another party. I've forgotten the name. Was it UDM or something? And then he went into URP. Now he went into Jubilee. He's the person who even persuaded all other parties, smaller parties, really to collapse down and form a Jubilee party in the run-up to 2017 general election. He moved out of the Jubilee party. Nobody actually pushed him. He decided fighting Jubilee within just to find an excuse and reason to move out. Now he's formed UDA, or even decided to be in UDA. But I can assure you, Miriam, once we get into the nomination, you are going to see a big fallout within the UDA, and William Ruto will not be in a position to control this, because he's going to force the loyalists, the people who he thinks and believes must get the ticket, really to be the flag bearers for various elective positions. And this is not going to be taken lightly by the UDA supporters, and equally so the politicians who are coalescing around him. So it's going to be a very big headache for him. He has never tried this before, and he cannot be moving around chest thumping, at least for ODM. There are people who have been tested and tried. It's a party which has lived its time over 16 years down the line, and they have really tried. It's the only party now you can say it has ideology, it has principle, is founded on democratic values. A person can vie, and even if you are defeated unfairly, you have avenues really to be able to canvass and find your way back to the party and to the elective position. And that cannot be said of UDA and other parties that coalesce around, of course, the Deputy President William Ruto. As I finalize on that, Miriam, you remember it's not only about Moses Kuria. The same thing even happened with the Mwangi Kiunjuri. It is the same thing with the politicians from that region. They're saying, we cannot have a person who is coming and telling us that we must have a one formidable party for the rest of Kenyans, that no any other person has a right really to form a party in this country. I don't think that is what we envisaged when we fought for multi-party democracy. That is not what Kenyans envisaged when they fought for this new constitution. We wanted a democratic space so that people can be able to choose which kind of vehicle or political party they can form or even vie on or even support. And I think those gains cannot be reversed for the simple reason we want to satisfy the desires and the selfishness of a single individual. In the name of Deputy President William Ruto, I submit.
Okay, thank you so much. So when you look at what is happening now, and DP he's not a fan of having all these small parties. So perhaps those laws that the debate that is meant to be happening next week in Parliament could benefit him if he just sits down and think about it. This could be of benefit to him, because it'll make sure that members stay put and operate within parameters and are disciplined. Would he not benefit from these laws? Sharon.
Thank you, Miriam. Of course, I agree with you that it's actually going to benefit him to also have, his members that are in his newly found, marriage to actually stay put and stay loyal. Because I think this whole week there has been so many defections, especially coming from different political parties, and UDA is not any exceptional because I've seen even the Kisii deputy governor has actually retraced, his roots back to the ODM. And when you look at this, it's actually going to be a major, political blow. And probably these are signs of, defeat. And he's trying, to relook into different strategies. But then again, I think you also need to revise the kind of strategies that he's coming up with, because we are bound to have different defectors, because they say politics is local and politics is about interest. So but when we have such kind of laws, I think he really needs to be so serious, because you said outrightly that this is actually going to protect him from having all these different kind of defectors that are especially at this time, or that we are nearing the electioneering period. So I think it's a matter of, revising the strategies that they're trying to come up with, because as I've said, now it is about, signs of people that have considered, defeat, signs are of people that are seeing so much defeat, because now it's about, two races that are very aggressive, and now you cannot afford to, continue doing things the same way that you are doing. But I think, when it comes to politics, I think strategy goes hand in hand. So I think they really need to get back to the drawing board and, get, a different way of how they are going to approach this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And just before we get to a story here of IEBC, and then we get on top of the hour, we start with the week that was. There's a story here that perhaps you might be interested in, Tawish. One Kenya Alliance leaders have rebuffed overtures from Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga, insisting that TM will name a presidential flag bearer. Speaking a day after Dr. Ruto reached out to Amani National Congress ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Ford Kenya colleague Moses Wetangula, the OKA principals said the alliance would emerge victorious in next year's general election. How nice. Now, we in OKA have agreed to remain together to the end. Any of us will carry the weight, mantle, interest, and vision of the group, Mr. Wetangula said during a requiem mass of Mr. Mudavadi's stepmother, Rosbella Gerono, at Friends International Center, a Quakers Church in Nairobi. The service was attended by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and KANU's Gideon Moi. So they are saying that, and then he continued to say, we encourage you not to engage in sectarian behavior. We want to make sure our nominations will be free, fair, credible. Before they even get to the nominations, being free, fair, credible, and verifiable, and all those wonderful things that safeguards good elections, can they just first formalize this coalition? And two, they promised to give us a flag bearer before the end of the year. We don't have much time left. Are we likely to see any of this come to fruition, Tawish?
Miriam, one thing that the One Kenya Alliance principals or leaders must get to acknowledge or appreciate is that they do not stand any chance of getting elected for presidency, regardless of who is going to be the flag bearer for that formation as we head into 2022 general election. It would have been wise for them really to decide to either join Deputy President William Ruto or former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga if they are to make any meaningful impact in as far as next year's general election is concerned. But for them to remain adamant and the grandstanding that we are witnessing from a section of the One Kenya principles, it is just a display of selfishness coming from those particular leaders. Because as we know today, Miriam, what chances does Musalia Mudavadi really stand when it comes to the presidential election? What chances does Moses Wetangula really stand? What chances does, say, Gideon Moi, if he was to contest for presidency? A majority of the Kalenjin nation, I can tell you this without a fear of doubt, Miriam, are going to vote for Deputy President William Ruto if his name will be in the ballot in 2022 general election. And given that Gideon Moi comes from the same community or from the same house, I can assure you that he's not going to get a sizable number of voters backing his quest for presidency coming from that region, because our politics has always been local. It has always been tribal. It has to begin from where you come from. They say charity begins at home. And so if you have, for example, Raila Odinga contesting for presidency and a big chunk of Luo voters are not quite supporting his bid, then you can be rest assured that you cannot expect that the rest of Kenyans will come in rescue and to support his bid. So it has to begin from home, and you must demonstrate that you have a solid support from where you come from before even you can engage further. I think we needed to mature beyond that, Miriam, but that is the reality of what our politics is, and we must really accept it. So for Musalia Mudavadi and the rest of One Kenya Alliance, I can assure you it is just a matter of time before they finally decide to join either Raila Amolo Odinga or Deputy President William Ruto, because in by themselves, Miriam, they do not stand any chance, and they are just hoodwinking Kenyans that they also stand a better chance of getting elected for presidency, unless maybe they have a hidden card, unless maybe they want to force a runoff, which I'm not foreseeing, so that maybe they can negotiate for something in as far as, say, the next formation of government is concerned, maybe we can give them that benefit of that. But saying that Musalia or any of the One Kenya Alliance really stand a chance of getting elected in coming election, we only have but 2 horses. In fact, I should register that we only have 1 horse, and that is Raila Amolo Odinga. And it's better if they join Raila Amolo Odinga the earliest time possible, so that at least they must stand their ground. Let's wait and see once the votes will be counted against their names to see how many votes they would have garnered by the end of the day. At least for Kalonzo Musyoka, he's a man who tried his bid 2007, and he knows the reality of politics. He knows what it means to be on the presidential ballot as a candidate. And for Musalia Mudavadi, equally, he tried in 2013. He knows what happens. Maybe for the likes of Moses Wetangula and Gideon Moi and Cyrus Jirongo, we can forgive them, and because they do not know how that forest looks like, they can as well try their bid and see by the end of the day how the people of Kenya are going to decide on the ballot. Sometimes we tell these people to understand the reality of politics, they ignore, and sometimes even bash us. But once they have their names on the ballot and the votes are counted, they get to understand the reality of what politics is. And Miriam, we have been in this game for quite some time, and I can tell you, the Oka Alliance does not stand any chance. I submit.
Okay, all right. But they're saying, please don't write us off. Yes, because we have a big vision for this country, and none of us is planning to join either side of Deputy President William Ruto or Raila's side. Let me just, Sharon, before you come in, just appreciate a few of our viewers here. Yesterday we had a wonderful show, and we're looking at what is happening there in Nigeria, and that conversation was led by Dr. David Matanga, and of course the special guest was Professor Pielo Lumumba, and we had one of the different leaders there, was it Simon Akpa, who was also present, and others, and it was a great show. So thank you so much, Ada Son, Igwe, Meche Jordan, Chizi Chuku, and the rest of you who are watching us from wherever you're watching us from across the world. We indeed appreciate your patronage. It is just a few minutes to 11 a.m. here in Nairobi, Kenya. I trust that you're doing well. Emmanuel Maloal from South Sudan, thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for staying tuned. So right now we're just looking at some of the stories that are making headlines in the Kenyan newspaper. So that is what we are discussing, and then we shall get back to the rest of the issues across Africa and indeed across the world. So thank you so much for staying tuned. So Sharon Gitonga, just what Tawish has just talked about. Right now, leaders are saying they're not interested in either joining Deputy President William Ruto or opposition leader Raila Odinga, and they're saying that they should be left alone. And remember, they made a promise in October they will name a flag bearer. And I think we joked about that they will not do it. And indeed, it is not a joke. They did not do it. So they said, you know what, give us until before the end of December. So December is halfway, so I don't know when they're planning to give us a flag bearer.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And of course, I also bear that concern. I was also worried. I mean, it's December, yet they have not been able to reach a decision to actually pick their flag bearer. You don't even talk, because at the end of the day, we cannot have for people being, trying to bid for the presidential bid. But I heard again, they came about and said they're actually going to pick a presidential bearer come January. But from the way things are going, I can also guarantee you, I don't think is actually going to see the end of the day, because Oka have, time and time proven to be what, in the military they call a sitting duck. And if not careful, they're actually going to die a natural death. They have already created a perception to people that they are, very political weak and indecisive, especially when it comes to them making the decision. And, politics, like I said earlier, it's now about aggressiveness. You've seen the kind of, aggressiveness that has been playing out, with the former prime minister and the order that is, with the deputy president. And, this week alone, like I talked about, there has been so many defections, mostly from even the ANC and Ford Kenya, and recently we also had a Democratic Action Party, whose aim was actually to form a coalition with the Azimio la Umoja movement. We've seen the likes of, Richard Onyanka and Amason Kingi, the likes of Wafula Munyinyi, among others who have actually defected, to ODM barely even 2 weeks after, the former prime minister, declared officially his presidential build. So you can tell before, it's just a matter of time. You can tell how much more defections we are bound to get. But then I'm forced to remember a question that Gideon Moi asked, during the NDC. And first, maybe I would love to pay a homage and applaud him for actually, making a point of going to the NDC, the Azimio la Umoja event, even after, he had an option of staying, and I think he had been bereaved by, his mother-in-law. So I think that in itself was one step. And there's a question that he asked that, can you entrust with your resources and, talk about education and, the healthcare and all these systems. And, your guess could actually be as right as mine. So Uka needs to get in touch with the political reality. And that's what I wish has been talking about, with the current high octane politics, to decide which falls they're actually going to back. Speculations that we've always been having here that Musalia Mudavadi is actually warming up to join UDA are currently now escalating because you've seen how Didmas Baraza and even the former and even the deputy president in Kisii, he was actually asking the people, who do you support? Who do you want Musalia to back? So that in itself speaks volume, that is actually warming up to join the UDA. But my worry has always been he's actually going to be relegated. There are no spaces or room for him to even serve in top, government position. So I think he needs to get the rest of the OCA team to get in touch with the politics of reality, because right now, the ship has left the dock and it's now an aggressive period of two political horses. And if anyone would call one political horse, and indeed the ground is shifting in the favor of the former prime minister. And like they always say, if you're not in the table, then you're going to be served the menu. So let them get in touch with the reality. I believe they have exponential values and synergies that if they put together, they would be best fitted to work with their traditional ally. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. And thank you for reminding us about that launch of the new party, the Democratic Action Party. I think it took place a couple of days ago. Was it on Monday at the Bomas of Kenya? And I was just listening. To me, it appeared to be an extension of Azimio la Umoja that happened in Kasarani a few days ago. That's our wish.
Sorry, Miriam, there's also an aspect of, I noted during the event that the former prime minister had actually sent CS Munya to represent him, and there has been so much, people were trying to read between the lines, probably if he could be his deputy president, yeah. But I think the good thing is that it's three different political parties that have come together, with a bid to form a coalition, because like we always say, no one who can succeed alone. And like one thing I love about the former prime minister, I said for him, it's not about followers, it's about partners. And I think this is going to give them a brownie point.
Okay, but the Democratic Action Party is a party, but I think it says it's willing to work with Raila Odinga and the Azimio la Umoja. And listening to when they were unveiling this new party, Tawish, see, I call extension Azimio la Umoja, because that's all I had in the back of my mind.
Yes, Miriam, indeed. Like I said earlier, Miriam, I told you and even the viewers that our politics is always local, and that has always been the tradition. And there are people who are willing, yes, indeed, to join, say, Azimio la Umoja, which is being spearheaded by Raila Amolo Odinga. And we all know that Raila Amolo Odinga is the ODM party leader. And there are regions in this country that you may not necessarily have, say, ODM or candidates vying on an ODM ticket, but they will want to join the bigger train that is called Azimio la Umoja that is being led by Raila Amolo Odinga. So they will be very comfortable, given that Raila Amolo Odinga has no problem with any political party coming on board and forming a major coalition in the run-up to 2022 general election. So they will be very comfortable having these parties really being formed, or coming with their parties really to board this train. And that is why you saw even with the party you're talking about, Democratic Action Party, that was launched the other day at the Bomas of Kenya right here in Nairobi. And most of the leaders in that particular fora you could quite see and read that they are drawn from a faction that was split from the Ford Kenya, one which has been fighting with Moses Wetangula, the likes of Wafula Wamunyinyi, the likes of Tongaren MP, Dr. Eseli Simiyu, and others. And you cannot also, of course, overlook or even underwrite somebody like CS for Defense Eugene Wamalwa. This is a long-time politician, for that matter. He's been MP for Saboti. He's been a cabinet minister for so many years. And this is a man you cannot just say he does not have any command or following when it comes to the politics of a Western region. And given that Musalia Mudavadi thinks maybe he needs to be massaged, or his ego to be massaged for him to reunite with Raila Amolo Odinga, or even go and unite with Deputy President William Ruto, I think what the message is being sent out there is that there are other options that Raila Amolo Odinga can use, or even Deputy President William Ruto can really use to reach out to the people of Western Kenya without necessarily going through Musalia Mudavadi. And this is quite evident even as we get into this election, because when you have Oparanya is a very serious political heavyweight coming from Kakamega, a person who has been an MP for Butere, if I'm not very wrong. He's been a minister for some time. He's also been elected governor twice now. So he's a formidable force. You have the likes of Atwoli, who comes from that region, who also commands a very big following when it comes to politics of that particular region and to the entire country. And so when you have all these people coalescing around Raila Amolo Odinga or boarding the Azimio la Umoja train, so Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and others who do not subscribe to this ideology or these emerging trends in our politics today have every reason really to worry, because by the end of the day, he will find himself at the menu, like as a menu. Like Sharon did mention, instead of him or them coming to the table and negotiate for the space of their people, for their space in the next government, they want to wait until election is done. And if they think that they're going to pull any surprise in terms of having, say, forcing a runoff, then we might as well have this election really being won in 90 minutes, and they will be rudely shocked that they have nothing or any space really to negotiate after next year's general election. Miriam, I submit.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I see our diaspora international viewers have so much to say. That's giving us a lot of things that are happening. So Emmanuel Malwal, you're saying, yesterday in Juba, you guys experienced an earthquake. How bad was it? Were there any injuries? Were there any loss of lives? What really happened? And the rest of you, let me know, wherever you're watching us from, what is happening. If there's anything we need to know, you need to bring to our attention, you're welcome to do so, and I'll share with the rest of our viewers across the globe. Before we leave this Kenyan stories, I think there's a story here that I think is very important, because we've been on the IEBC's case for quite some time now, and I see they could be having some answers to some of the queries that we've been making, especially on this show. IEBC to use detectives in fighting electoral malpractices in 2022. So they need the police, all right? So the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, will deploy undercover agents to monitor politicians' floating poll rules ahead of the 2022 general election. The IEBC yesterday said the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI personnel, would work with it to detect electoral malpractices and take action. The agency made the revelations in its presentation by the Commissioner, Boya Molo, during a two-day national conference of the state of preparedness for the 2022 elections. The DCI has seconded investigators to the commission under a program that seeks to enhance investigation and prosecution of breaches of security and election malpractices. Remember when we were having this conversation here, and I think it was led by Dr. Matang, and I think the title was who will enforce some of these laws? Is it IEBC or the police? And now I think IEBC guys might have been watching, Chebukati might have been watching, and so now he's saying that they will use private detectives from DCI to bring to book those who will be flouting some of these electoral laws, and we know right now it is rife. So how do you see this working, Sharon Gitonga?
Thank you. And I think IEBC needs to get into the reality of what is happening, because if they talk about them actually needing they have to use the detectives and talk about the DCI and the police, how are they going to engage them if they have actually, left the multi-sectoral agency that is meant to, work hand in hand and see the progress of or even ask see the progress of their preparation come 2022. And I think it's high time they actually get resolve and get back into the multi-sectoral agencies so that they're able to keep up, they're able to work hand in hand with all the different stakeholders that are involved for us to see a free, fair, and credible election come 2022. Remember, I have always said here that an election is not a single day event. It is a process. It is a process, to build up so many things, to build up trust, to build up legitimacy that has eroded over time, and even to even shun the perception that people have created, even with IEBC. When you talk about confidence, they have bungled different elections. They have bungled, even by election. Recently, yesterday we had a rerun of, the by-election of, Kiagu Ward, and that was as a result of, IEBC for having, disqualified an aspirant even after they had, they had even nominated him. So the IEBC needs to really get back into the multi-sectoral agency, and we understand they are an independent, and this is not about any encroachment of independency, but an agency that is put aside to see the progress of elections come 2022. They've talked about servers the other day that we were talking about. They've talked about so many things about how they will need the police and detectives and the security, and security is very paramount. They've talked about ICT. How are they going to work if they don't work hand in hand with the different stakeholders? So I think all in all, they need to get back into the multi-sectoral agency, if at all, because now that they have proven over time that they have been a toothless bulldog that cannot bite. I think let them get back into the drawing board and invite different stakeholders for us to see a free, fair, and credible elections come 2022.
Very well said. Sharon Gitonga, the DCI has seconded investigators to the commission and a program that seeks to enhance prosecution. So IEBC is recognizing the importance of working with these other government agencies to bring to book those who will be violating these electoral laws. And Sharon there has reminded us that perhaps IEBC needs to go back to the drawing book and get its way back to the multi-sectoral agency that was meant to prepare for next year's election. That's our wish.
Yes, indeed. And I fully agree with you, because it was insincere of IEBC to come out and dismiss the multi-sectoral agency that was formed, of course, to oversee preparations ahead of next year's general election, because in itself, it would have offered them the platform and an opportunity to be able to raise any issues that they are having in terms of challenges that they are having in preparations towards next year's general election. And you've been quite express on this in terms of, say, the security agency. This is one organ that you cannot quite wish away. Even Chebukati himself, he needs the security agency for his own security, for the commissioner's security, and even for the exercise across the country, really to move smoothly. So if you do not have, if you are wishing away or ignoring the security apparatus in this country, then how are you able really even to enforce some of these directives in terms of people even abusing or engaging themselves in malpractices? So you still need, of course, the police. And even when you talk about the Minister for Minister for IT, you still need, of course, Musheru and others really to be able to roll out this country so that we are not going to get those challenges that we saw in the previous elections. If you talk about, for example, the courts that is being led by Chief Justice Martha Koome, who is the president of the Supreme Court. I mean, all these electoral challenges and petitions always get to our courts or to our judiciary. So it is a full study and very insincere of Chebukati and the IEBC that he leads to say that they can operate as an island, that they can go as an lone rangers in this particular exercise, because by the end of the day, they need these other agencies more than the agencies really need them, because for them to be able for them to be successful in this particular exercise, they need the support of each and every of these multi-sectoral agencies for them to be able to make the coming election or any other exercise for that matter really a success. So I think they have to go back to the drawing board and rethink about that particular decision and see the worth of it really by rejoining that particular multi-sectoral agency to guarantee Kenyans that faith and trust that the preparations towards next year's general election are up to the mark and nothing is really going to be compromised. Because to me, Miriam, when you have more commissioners, say for example, and that is why even the constitution itself really envisaged that we must have a given number of minimum commissioners and a maximum number of commissioners in the IEBC, so that at least you do not have one or two people just sitting somewhere and deciding the fate of over 50 million Kenyans when it comes to making the decision at the ballot. And that is why even when you have more people, a multi-sectoral agency that brings on board more than say 10 agencies together to prepare for next year's general election. So it makes even the burden itself lighter, Miriam. You know, I was quite surprised that Chebukati finds it difficult and uncomfortable really to work in such kind of environment when you have so many other people and agencies really demonstrating that will and commitment to work with you and help you achieve your objective. This is very, very insincere of IEBC and Chebukati for that matter. I hope they are going to find some meaning in it and they decide to work again with the multi-sectoral agency. Miriam, I submit.
Okay. So much. And before we get into the week that was, there is a story here on the front page of the Standard newspaper, and it is in line with the story that I think has been a cause of concern to the country, and that the indiscipline, something that has to do with what we've been seeing in our Kenyan schools. And on page 6 and 7, there's a special report of the Standard newspaper. I'll just read what we have on the front page. I'll not get too much into the story. Caning teachers to pay 4.2 million Kenyan shillings amid call to change law. Teachers punished a student for indiscipline in March and inflicted injuries. Yesterday, a judge found that the two teachers and school had violated the minors' rights. Parents sued after police failed to press criminal charges. Teachers now say gaps in the Children's Act and the Basic Education Act must be addressed to stem indiscipline among learners. So in this case, the parents went and sued the two teachers who, punished this child to an extent that this child was inflicted with injuries. Now we have to there has to be some boundaries. There has to be some difference between, punishment, because you don't mean to hurt this child, and hurting this child, because I don't have a problem my child being, punished over any form of indiscipline. But if you inflict an injury to my child, I'm taking you to court. I am. So where should we draw the line? Sharon.
Miriam, I totally understand. I totally feel what you're talking about, and even this coming at a time where the Ministry of Health was trying to reconsider, bringing back, the cane back to school. But I think some of these things are the things that they didn't really look into, because if you've seen how much these kind of canes are bringing, how much they are going to an extent of inflicting injuries to different people. And I think it's time that we look into deeper issues, even with the children, and not going.
Okay, we seem to be having a bit of a problem with your network there, Sharon. So once you're able to join us, you will continue. Tawish, this is a conversation we've had over and over and over about the indiscipline that is on the rise in our schools. And indeed, there has been conversations about perhaps we need to change some of these laws when it comes to, caning and all this. And, punishing a child within reasonable, parameters is okay if they've done wrong. But to an extent where you're going to inflict, injuries and some of these, lasting injuries on a child, I think that is unacceptable. Where do we draw the line?
Sorry, I was saying, Miriam, can you hear me?
Oh, you're back. Go ahead, and then Tawish will go.
Sorry, I was saying there's a new wave of a new teenager with this song Sipangwingwi. I don't know if you've heard it. And even politicians are even taking that up slogan. And if you listen to what he's actually saying is that maisha ni yake, then you wonder, what kind of a generation are we? What are you going to tell them? That people that believe that their life, is their own life. So I think parents, we need to relook into and also talk to our teenagers, even as they come home for the holidays, so that we see if probably it's about the enabling environment or exactly what is the cause of, the current rise of arson in schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, now I understand, because I was seeing this hashtag Hatupangwingi or something like that, and I was wondering, where is this coming from?
It's a teenager who has come up with that song, and the likes of the deputy president are all over castigating other leaders with that, slogan of Sipangwingwi. So it's about monkey see, monkey do. What these people are saying is, a reflection of what is happening in our society.
Okay, so they want to live their lives under their own terms, but just taking it back to our schools. There should be a difference between, punishing a child because they've done wrong within reasonable parameters, but to an extent that you're going to inflict, some injuries on a child. Come on now. Tawish, where do we draw the line?
Indeed, Miriam, there has to be that line. There has to be that limit with which, of course, this punishment is being undertaken, because the disciplining and punishment must be with objective, really not to inflict pain or injury to the students or to the learners. But I think it is one way of correcting mistakes when students, of course, make mistake. And teachers, like this debate which is rife as to whether caning must be brought back to our schools. I think in the past, the reason why this was removed in the first place is because the teachers also who took the opportunity, who exploited that, of course, to settle scores with the learners, and sometimes even to settle grudges with these learners, which is something that, of course, necessitated the removal of that punishing of our kids, or caning of our kids in our schools today, Miriam. And I can quite agree that the same must be done with moderation, because, again, the teacher, even when they go to the training colleges, they are actually taught on how they are going to discipline learners, on how they are able to correct learners, because you cannot expect that with 1,000 kids in a given institution, that all of them are going to behave in a manner that is going to impress, say, the institution or the teachers or even the leadership of that particular institution. At some point, there are bound to be clashes between, of course, the learners and the management or the leadership of the school or the learning institution, because these people come from different backgrounds anyway, and there are certain things that are bound to happen. But again, for us to have this debate of reintroducing caning in our schools, that there must be a moderation with which this is going to be executed, Miriam, so that we do not want to see that teachers are going to be exceedingly caning the kids and inflicting injury on them to a point that we are taking them to hospital. I do not think that should be the way on how the same is going to be dealt with. In any case, Miriam, there are so many other ways. In fact, from my school where I was learning, there are so many other ways on how punishment can be undertaken without necessarily even using a cane. I remember we had in a school where I was schooling, I remember we had a teacher who used to give us a task of just digging a hole digging a very deep hole and removing all that soil outside, and then again you are asked to return the soil inside there. By the end of the day, Miriam, I can tell you it's a task that will take you almost a whole day. By the end of the day, you will not quite want to repeat what you did. So I think there are so many ways on how we can be able to correct students when they go astray, and not necessarily caning. And where absolutely cane has to be used, the same must be used with moderation. I quite agree with both yourself and, of course, Sharon Gitonga on this. I submit.
All right, thank you. Because even in the homes, I think, is it our African, it is within our cultural practices. I mean, every now and then you know, you're caning, but you're careful on where you're, the legs or some place where you know you cannot inflict that amount of pain or injury. It's not dire, but I think this is a conversation that stakeholders must have, and everybody must be seen to be reading from the same script, both the school and the parents, because we need both this to come together for the good of our children in the schools. We have a problem in discipline, and that is something that has to be addressed. And I think you've given a very good example on other ways that could be used in form of punishment that cannot really hurt this child. So I think this is a very important conversation, and they must continue having it, because you don't want a teacher also now being scared that should they do anything, they will be taken to court now. And so they're left there with a bunch of, kids who are in discipline and they don't know what to do. So there has to be a middle ground. And I think both schools and teachers and parents must come together and have this conversation and decide which way forward. Because at the end of the day, these are children. They really don't know what's best for them. And, sometimes they think they do, like that one who sang Hatupangwingwi, now that I know where that hashtag is coming from. But at the end of the day, they really don't know. They think they do, but they don't know. And so we still have a responsibility to ensure that we discipline them in a way that is not detrimental, but also they get to correct them, to come back to the right path. All right, and I see from where I'm seated, President Uhuru Kenyatta, I think, is launching the Kenya Shipyard Limited in Mombasa. And perhaps that is a conversation that we shall be having maybe in the course of maybe Sunday or next week, because right now it is an event that is happening. And of course, the shipyard commenced construction in 2018, and President Uhuru Kenyatta is launching it right now in Mombasa, and we shall bring you that perhaps next week as we continue looking at President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy, even as the days and months continue to come to an end. President Uhuru Kenyatta is serving his second and last term up to and until August next year. So I will bring you more of that next subsequent broadcast. So now let's just get into what happened this week. I don't know what stood out for you this week, in the week that was. And I'll start with Sharon Gitonga. What stood out for you this week?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that question. And maybe if you could allow me to talk about briefly about what yesterday's discussion about Nigeria, and it's actually coming, the kind of happenings that are happening in Nigeria. And I really loved, that discussion, and now it was clear very well that, that the state of Nigeria is actually collapsing and sinking, and at the same time even dissipating every day. And unless something is actually, done, it's going to pose a very, bad calamity, especially, in the Horn of Africa. And there's a video that Dr. Matsanga was actually talking about, the Boko Haram actually beating up a Christian, very ruthless.
Okay, we seem to be having a problem with Sharon's network, but once she's able to come back, yes, I think she's going back to the conversation we were having yesterday, and I think Tawish, you were present. So would you like to perhaps pick it from there as we wait for her to come back and tell us what else stood for her this week? Just a recap of the conversation we were having yesterday on the state of Nigeria in general.
My apologies. I think I suffered so I was talking about the dangers of diversity that was also clear. And, when talk about ethnic balkanization that have caused so much frictions and, and have continued to even worsen the situation. And I think I agree with what Dr. Matsanga said, that it's time to, reassemble Nigeria and then rearrange it, just like what President Museveni is actually doing in Congo, to get rid of the rebels that have been planted in in these African countries. At the same time, have the UN and the likes of the African Union and ECOWAS coming in together, because at the end of the day, the kind of unrest and the kind of negative ripple effects that we are feeling cannot continue, these ways. So I think, because the results that always come after this, we are bound to have an influx of refugees all over, because Nigeria is a very vital country, and I think each and every African setup country you find a Nigerian. So the results are always going to be an influx of refugees, and I don't know if these African countries have even enough resources to accommodate them. So I think it's high time for different unions that have been put in place to heat up action to actually see they restore the peace that has been eroded in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I see that we've joined by Dr. David Matsanga. Daktari, we've looked at the papers, we've looked at the Kenyan stories, done with that. So now we are looking at the week that was, and Sharon was just recapping what the conversation that we had last night and the show as something that stood out for her during this week. So welcome and a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. Just wait until I press my microphone properly.
All right. So as we wait, I think I'll go to Atawish. Just a recap of perhaps the conversation we had last night.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Miriam and colleague panelists. Indeed, Miriam, I can agree with Sharon that yesterday night, of course, show did stand out. It was a very good one with a candid discussion. We had, of course, Dr. David Masanga himself leading this, and Professor P.L. Lumumba, the likes of Simon Ekpa, and other panelists who are making submission. And what really impacted that show as well was the fact that there was so much and a huge viewership, not only in Kenya or Africa, but I think across the world. I mean, there was a lot of viewership and people watching and making commentary to that effect. And it can quite tell you that there's that appetite, there's that thirst for change and liberation for the people of Biafra in Nigerians. And I think in Nigeria, I beg your pardon, and because Sharon Gitonga has spoken on this explicitly, I wouldn't want to belabor and going back onto that. Secondly, okay. Miriam, I think what stood out for me as well was, of course, Jamhuri Day celebrations, where President Uhuru Kenyatta did lay bare of what he expects of Kenyans moving into next year, more so being an election year. I think he was basically trying to read the qualities or credentials of a person or a political movement that he would wish really Kenyans to align themselves to. And it is only the wise and the intelligent who could read between the lines and understand what exactly the president was speaking about. When President Kenyatta sometimes speaks about his succession and the potential person who will be taking over from him, some people think like it is more of President Uhuru Kenyatta. But I think it is for the prosperity of this nation. It is making sure that Kenyan people are going to be in safe and secure hands in the future, even when he leaves office as president of this republic. And that is why continually he gives us hints of what he expects of us. In as much as it's a democratic right, it's a free will that you'll be deciding your president, any of the elective positions, but the same must be guided. I mean, even in developed countries, there's what is said, a guided democracy, Miriam. You cannot just allow people to play football in an unmarked field. I mean, it has to be guided, that at least this is where we would want you to score. Regardless whether you choose to score differently at a different point, that then will be up to you. You wouldn't quite not say that you are not advised to that effect. And I think that quite stood out for me. Equally so, Miriam, as I finalize on this, is the fact that the Nairobi-Kisumu, of course, train, I believe from Naivasha, if I'm not very wrong, is equally going or has been launched already?
I think it will be coming from the headquarters here in Nairobi, not Naivasha.
That is it, to Kisumu, and the people are quite expectant because Miriam, there are people who have been exploiting, of course, the Kenyans when it comes to the issue of fare. You can imagine going from Nairobi to Kisumu, you're going to spend only 600 Kenya shillings. So if you're going to your rural home in Kisumu, so you only have to look for about 1,500 or so. You'll be very comfortable. You will get home and come back to Nairobi, and you're going to enjoy this very, very nice and improved ride. To me, I think President Uhuru Kenyatta continually is making an impact in as far as his legacy is concerned, is trying to make sure that each and every part of this country is really opened up and the infrastructure is up to the mark. And the commencing of that particular train or the rail from Nairobi to Kisumu is also a milestone in its own, because you can imagine it has been quite so many years when this, of course, train has not been in use, or this, of course, the rail has not been in use. So I think Kenyans are very, very happy, and they're delighted that the president continually is working on making sure that he achieves his legacy, and not just for his sake and his name, but for making sure that Kenyans is going to leave this country a better place than he found it when he became president. I submit. Okay,
thank you so much. Kenyans have had to say in regards to that, the new train from Nairobi to Kisumu. Okay, thank you so much, Doc.
Yes, thank you very much, Miriam. I've been listening from behind the scenes. I want to say the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta still continues to dominate the infrastructure. What you have just talked about, Tawish has just talked about infrastructure. You can spend 12 hours and arrive safely, than spend 6 hours and don't arrive at all. So those who are going to Kisumu, book now, spend 12 hours. If you are going for Christmas, start on 22nd. Go. You have enough time. Your wife is there. Your children are there. Your house is there. Your chicken is there. Your bed is there. Why do you rush? And Miriam, you have seen comments by Kenyans on the railway. They never say anything good. Never. Never. Even in this one of Kisumu, someone has started analyzing. And yet it has been there. They have been building houses on it. There are certain people who have built houses on the railway. Now they get scared. They are now undermining it. They want to say that Uhuru did not make it. They want to say that the KDF should be in the barracks and never to come out to construct it, to revamp the railway. Shame. 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 As a Gentile preaching to the Jews, how this, and I told you I would mention that word every day, until someone asks me why. Because Jews, the biggest well-organized organization in the world, Miriam, you know them? They are the Jews. If you go to Russia, you will find the Jews. If you go to America, Iran, is everywhere, all this Qatar, you will find a trace of Jews. South Africa, Ethiopia, you will find Morocco. Have you seen London? Plenty. There are offsprings of the Jews. Why are they respected worldwide? Not because they are beyond. They are because they hear and act. They hear and act. They don't undermine. They are very good people. You can sit with them in a boardroom. But he knows what he wants to do. So as a Gentile, you can preach and preach. But the people will know what to do. You Kenyans, you are lucky you have a democracy. That thriving democracy is very important for you, Miriam, to pick a milestone from there and then continue to build it on. Some countries in Africa, the ones that we discussed like last night, democracy is just a mirage. So, my dear sisters and brother, Uhuru has done the best. Get on that train. Take 12 hours. Get your laptop and do your work, which you did not finish in the office. What are you rushing for? Today, Uhuru is opening up one of the only country in this sub-Saharan Africa that was building ships on the sea was South Africa. As we speak right now, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta is commissioning in full swing the shipyard that will be building ships for the Great Lakes region, in a country that has got water like Uganda, that has got marines like Uganda, Congo, Sudan. They will come to buy ships. Tanzania has already booked several ships. Is that a man you call a bad guy? To me, I listened to Sharon when she said there are so many things that Kenyans must wake up and see. And it is time for them to wake up and see. If you are Jews building a good democracy, wake up and see. Don't hand over your democracy to other people. By keeping quiet and not speaking, you are handing over democracy and the results can show. You see, this guy is, nobody is challenging, a strategy is needed, Miriam. That's the point I wanted to make here. We need a strategy to tackle Ruto's onward approach. But as a Gentile, when you give the strategy, it might not be accepted. So today I am saying there is need. You might call his win not consequential, but it is. It's showing you his stamping authority. He's using looted money to stamp authority. He has looted enough money. The election is in Kiaga. Kiagu. Is it Kiagu? It is pure money. And you not see why Dr. Mathanga kept off completely. Despite the fact that I had my own relative there, my son, called Bindi, what is his name? What is Douglas?
Yes, Douglas Kirimi.
Kirimi. I kept off. Now he can come back to me and we talk. He has learned a lesson. He has got experience what politics is, because we could not match intelligence-wise. We could not match with the type of money that Ruto was pouring in that place. If one side is giving money and the other side is giving saliva, African politics is money, money, money. That's why you see Kirimi got 80 votes. How many votes?
It was around that, around 100 or so. Yes.
No, it's 88. I saw on the list.
Yes. Yes.
It's about 88. With all the work he has put in for all that, but people were not listening. The younger man was campaigning, telling them the truth on how to change that word. But the people were listening to money. I don't know whether you are reasoning the way I'm reasoning. People were listening to money than they were listening to Mr. Douglas Kirimi telling them this is how he wants to make a bridge. They were not, even when they came to make that bridge there, Miriam, they were just making it Tawish for the sake of making it. But they wanted to make it quickly and go quickly to get where there is cash. So politics of Kenya has been diluted by cash. If you don't have cash, believe me or not, nobody will listen to you. Ruto used the cash to win that ward. And they are not the people who have just spoken to the agents of Moses Kuria's party. That's what they have told me now. They have come back. They have said he used cash. The man used the cash, plenty of it. So you cannot be campaigning with 1 shilling, 1,000 shillings in the pocket. So Douglas, don't worry. We have another time coming, and don't give up. The only problem that I condemn, that I will still blame on Jubilee Party, is the way they did not give Douglas. If they gave Douglas that ticket, and I was telling them, give Douglas the ticket. People did not give him the ticket. So have you seen now? Jubilee came number 3. And we got another guy in Jubilee who has been there and is just a small mobilizer. You get it's a younger generation. They are looking for that. And you know, Ruto has put a knife on the things that held Mount Kenya together. It is falling unless somebody handles it, unless President Uhuru Kenyatta comes out quickly to hold this mountain and put it together in size online. This guy is becoming funny. He's using money, and that money is spoiling the elections of this country. I submit, therefore, that on the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta is quite a lot that has been done. And we continue to highlight the legacy. We continue to thank him as he opens this. But before we come to, for my summary on Nigeria, I request you, this being a Christmas time, to listen to the songs of one of my friend's daughters, which she has just released as we warm up to the finishing point. We have only 15 minutes to call it a day. So I ask the production team to weka hiyo song kidogo tusikilize. We want to hear the voice of this younger guy, a younger lady who is coming up. Thank you very much. Then we come back, Miriam, to say kwaheri kwa weekend to tena na kila kitu. But I just came in to emphasize the point of the legacy, to emphasize the point of yesterday's show. It was very important, very good, candid, and I think Miriam left us halfway because we are passing the sleeping time. We are sorry, but you did very well. It came to candid. There are certain things I learned yesterday in this show, that Mr. Ekepa asked me for a telephone number of Lumumba. But these are things that you also learn from friends. They didn't tell me that they are doing a representation. Have you seen that, Miriam? It came out yesterday. And the retribution that I'm receiving now from Nigerians themselves, they are saying, don't bring that guy on the TV again. We have now understood your position. Your TV did not take part, you did not take part in anything. But they are saying Mr. Ekapa took part in all this scheme. And me also, I got a shocker. Because Miriam, if I give you the number, you come back and say, oh, the number you gave me, I got the person and we talked. They had moved their head to prepare paperwork. So there are certain things you learn. That's why for me, I came out yesterday to make my stand very clear. That me and Mr. Buhari, if we meet in a darker corner, one of us will arrive to Jerusalem faster. Tawish, I think you heard me. I had to come out very openly that one arrive in Jerusalem faster because I don't have anything. Now my friends come and they have something which I did not know. No, that is not very good life. But that is, as a Gentile, you preach to the Jews. They always take what is better from you, but they don't tell you what exactly was better for them. Have I now told you the secret? And the Miriam, you can see, they take what is better from you, but they don't tell you what is better for them from you. I don't know whether you get that one. Wanatoa ile kitu mzuri, lakini hawa mbele wakuambie kitu gani mzuri ilitokea. Kwa hiyo mazungumzo na hiyo what you see. So that is what life is. But thanks all in all, I want to thank you all. Let's listen to this Christmas carol from this younger man, of a friend of mine. She's very younger lady, sorry, not man. A friend of mine from the younger man, a great friend, a daughter, as she moves us forward towards the smelling Christmas. It is, Miriam, it is smelling. I can hear chicken crying in the Tawish. Chicken is crying in the kitchen, and some people are even preparing. You can see Sharon is not even making an appearance at all. Sharon, can I see how you are? Look at it. Open up and we'll see how you are preparing for this Christmas, because it seems you are running out of this town faster.
Doc, I'm not able to open up, but initially my video was up. But I wanted to add something on the legacy of the president. I think 3 days ago, there was a commissioning of a mega public and private partnership housing project for the KDF that is actually set to be rolled out in different counties. And it is going to see the construction of 3,500 houses with a focus to improve on the welfare of the military. So I think this is also something quite commendable. And I remember a while back, we were talking about the best way to reward our gallantry soldiers who literally, sacrifice their tomorrow for the sake of our today. So in a nutshell, I think the legacy of the president is secure, and what has not been done is progressive, and it's going to be done before his tenure.
Yeah, tell us about your departure from the city.
I'm traveling tomorrow, so that's why I'm not able to open up, because I'm trying to sort out some things, but I'll be traveling tomorrow.
So for you, your Christmas, the year is ended.
No, I'll still be part of the discussion and part of the panel, but I'm just set to travel tomorrow.
Why?
Yeah.
That is rice. Rice is smelling, and rice, and in Meru you eat what is called what? What is that thing that is produced in Meru? Do you also eat it?
We have the green gold and matoke. That is a staple food. The green gold is what you people call mira.
Do you eat it?
No.
Yeah, but you should test your own product.
No, not really.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, viewers. Let's listen to the song. Is it ready?
Oh, holy night.
viewers, listeners across the globe. That's a young daughter of my friend. I want to thank you very much for offering us. From now onwards, when we start from today, Sunday, every month, every day until the end of the year, we shall be playing that Christmas carol for us to give us to inspiration, to get inspiration from her. And guess what? The talent comes from the mountains. It's a very good talent from the mountains. And believe me or not, why is Sharon running away? It is a Miriam, what is it that you want to make a comment? Because I can see laughter killing you. So make a comment. What was it? Did I jump the gun?
No. I that's one of my favorite Christmas carols. I was just enjoying it. And I think Sharon told you that she's traveling. So I think she's going to start packing, I suppose.
No, she's back. I wanted to thank her that the friend of mine, the thing is, that lady is from Sharon's county. So Sharon, you should clap for yourself.
Doc, I didn't hear that. What were you saying?
That lady is from the county of Meru.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the one who had just sung, the young lady.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah, you should clap for yourself, man.
We are doing good. We are just surrounded by saboteurs. You've seen what these people are planning to take us down from DCI and Martha Koome. Yeah, but I think so far we are doing good. We are all-rounded people.
It is all us. It is me and the Tawish who are Gentiles. And Miriam. Is Miriam a Gentile? No, she's a Jew. From Siaya. The home. Tawish and me is only, as you see, she has already taken the mantle of we are being taken down by saboteurs. Miriam, next year, October, hey, woo, I will be looking for you. So that you don't run away from me. Itakushikilia nguo mpaka lazima na mimi nifika huko mbele. We are doing everything possible to make Raila Amolo Odinga the president, a uniting factor for this country, a country to have a redemption strategy, healing, accountability, forgiveness, reconciliation, above all, reparation. Usilale kwa nyumba ya mtu, usipige chakula kwa nyumba ya mtu kama mwenyewe hako. Unalima shamba ya mtu. Ala. Is that a good message? I have surprised Tawish. Have I surprised you? Don't cook food in somebody's house who's still alive. Return the property so that you heal like a Rwanda. What wanalima, they have got money out of these farms. Some of the farms are not yours. The owners are suffering somewhere. Return them. They speak frankly. If we keep quiet, the nation goes to conflict like Nigeria. If we keep quiet, there will be a conflict again. If you are sleeping in somebody's house, which you did not buy, return it. Tuambiane ukweli. That is when healing can come. Except you grabbed the house and the land, and you are sleeping, you are tilting the land of somebody which you never paid a penny. Miriam, is that a bad message? Is it a bad message? You are on the saying, I can't hear you. I don't know what is going on, Miriam. Miriam, I think after this we need to talk. What is it, a good message or a bad message? Why are you keeping quiet? You mean there are no people sleeping in other people's houses for free? Tawish, are there no people sleeping in other people's houses for free? Land.
Yeah.
So return this land. That's what Kenyatta says, what the BBI says. That's why they don't want the BBI. Mefika couple, now I've knocked the point, Miriam. People don't want the BBI because we want to say, if the house is a house of somebody, then that house is not yours. Don't sleep in somebody's house when you did not build it. Or if you are not paying rent to him. Paying rent and occupying it illegally. There are two different things. You can't heal, you can't sleep properly, you can't even eat food there properly. Land which you have taken over, reparate, restitute, reconcile, account, and truth-telling. Those are the basics of a healing strategy of building bridges initiative. Less than that, I'm a Jew, I'm a Gentile preaching to Jews. Like Paul said in the Philippians, I'm writing this letter to the Philippians. I might not be there to witness what might happen, but this is the gospel according to Dr. Matanga. A redemption strategy is the best way for the Republic of Kenya to unite in the future, to face the challenges in the future. A mere seeking of presidency by anybody without looking at these facets, the facets that collect, that bring together a united, unified country. We shall be at war. Thank you very much. This Friday, this station is for Africa. And thank you very much, Sharon. I wish you a good journey. Journey Massis. Is it Massis or Massis? Or Voyage? Bon voyage. I am not French. I hate French. So don't blame me, Miriam. Again, you are laughing because I'm pronouncing badly French. I am not French. I don't eat any frogs. And unfortunately, it looks like the French have come to attack my throat. But it's because of the studio where I am. Very soon, when we have a nice studio, you won't hear that. This, you'll hear the acoustics. You are laughing again. You can laugh, but believe me or not, look at the Paul's letter to the Philippians. What did he say? I might not be there, but these things will happen. Don't sleep in somebody's house who worked hard to build it and you have taken over. Don't till his land. Take to Caesars what is for Caesars, and to God what is for God. Pastor, Dr. Nyekorach Matanga, son of soil. That's where I end my sermon this afternoon. I thank you, Miriam. I thank you, Samuel Odesisena. I thank you, Sharon. I thank you all. I thank you, Stephen, for keeping us, especially last night. If we had to go another 30 minutes, it was becoming hot. There were one coming to almost 700 per second, and they were on it. They had my message. And the messages I'm receiving, my God, here, fantastic. But I speak the truth. I will not let it go. Mr. Buhari kidnaps people. Mr. Buhari kidnaps people. 1994, he kidnapped Dr. Umar Diko in a coffin in Stansted Airport, where even the highest intelligence on planet Earth called MI6 and MI5 discovered at the last minute when a man was kicking in the coffin. Can you believe that? So instead of him kidnapping people around the world, let him unite. Let him unite. Let him look for a political solution for Nigeria. Otherwise, Nigeria has fallen apart. People sleep on water. Miriam, you can imagine you go and build a house on Lake Victoria and you enter your house through a boat. Holla! Holla! This is one of the most, this country annoyed me yesterday. A house on water. And a Nigerian has gone back to do a documentary for BBC. He's proud. He's happy. Me, I don't. Even if it is a dollar you are paying me, I can't. I can't. No. Because I will be ashaming my ancestor. My father will be laughing at me when we meet in the grave one day. I want to thank you very much, all of you. Enjoy your weekend. Keep on smiling. As usual, we meet on Sunday, 2 p.m. Let's get ourselves connected. That's why telephones were created. Let's check on each other. Keep the masks on. This disease is bad now again. Keep masks on. Wash your hands. Don't allow too many guests into your house. Don't go to unnecessary places. If it is not necessary to travel, don't travel. Stay at home. You can do online shopping. And then all the shopping can be delivered at the door. These are some of the regulations I've taken. Now, don't come to my house and Tawish or anybody don't think of coming near me. I don't want to be part of the parcel. We can negotiate, we can talk on this. Because things, if the World Health Organization says this thing is worse, and this thing does not make you lose appetite. The appetite remains there. While you are eating, things are not well. You are being eaten. So please keep away. And there is a very strong flu everywhere. Is this thing flu? If this is so, then almost everybody in Nairobi now has it. The flu is so strong. And then the flu does not get cured on simple medicine. Did you notice that? People have had the flu for 2 weeks. And it doesn't go away. So what type of virus is this? Kemri has told us there's an influenza. What is influenza? Influenza? This is not influenza. Influenza can go away by antibiotics down the town. But this one looks very heavy. And there are people who, Miriam, next week, let's talk. You might, wherever you'll be, let's talk about institutions. There are people who lie that they have taken these vaccinations. I think Mutahi Kagwe should look for these guys, especially airlines and other people. People lie. There is a lot of corruption in the airlines because they are given a free entry. They just land, they just do like this. They give you at the airport and you put in there. There is something, some of these people are the ones spreading this disease. We should change the methods of testing that everybody, whether you are an airline crew or what, whether you are running an essential service, have a PCR. A PCR. Mutahe Kagwe. Mutahe Kagwe. Look at that honorable minister. You are very good, and I like the way you do things. You listen to all our programs and don't go and do it. Change the law. Everybody going on the plane, whether you're a crew, a pilot, or what, get a PCR. Do you know why, Miriam? PCR will tell you the truth. He knows, he kokapi, knows he, that he knows naweka hii mwenyewe. Hakuna. Get a PCR. Let everybody have a PCR. Unarudi wakupime, unaenda wakupime. Because this is jumping from where you have gone. The people coming on the plane are the ones bringing it. And most people, when you confront them, there are people you ask quietly, Miriam, have you vaccinated? They're here. And they are very well educated. Well educated people. Someone is even advancing an old stone age theory. Oh, I will not produce a child. So if God has not given you a child, then God can even refuse you from producing, even if you don't vaccinate. All these things affect you, women in what? Have you seen the theories? Some of the people who are educated, they refused to take this vaccine. And they are walking around in the public places, dishing this thing. Okay, now these women with Range Rovers and so on, and some of them are very bad. Wanatembea wanagawa hii kitu. Wako kwa night club. Unafikiri unapata, kumbe unapata mang'aa. So let's be honest. Close this. Yes, let the people enter the hotel, but close the club. Some of the clubs, Rwanda has closed night club. You can't dance anymore. Dance with your wife in your sitting room. In fact, that would be a very good competition. I'm very happy that all of my people, all of us in Punchline Africa Television, double. If it means additional punch, we shall know. But it hasn't arrived in Kenya yet. If there is need of a booster, is it a booster? It's a booster. But most of you are younger people. You don't need boosters. It is we whose age President Kenyatta decided 58 above, stay home. So Miriam, this one doesn't affect you, Mama. You are all right. Your system can fight back. But here we are. We talk about this. Let's make people please come out and get Johnson and Johnson. It is there. One pop. Pfizer is double, isn't it? And the Moderna is double. So Johnson and Johnson is plenty here now. Millions of doses. Just get it, pop. Wacha kiumane kama Mungu anasema tutafika huko, tufike through this channel. Because also media, there are so many contradicting stories internationally. We are getting even more confused. More confused. So thank you very much, all of you in the world. God bless you. God bless Punchline Africa Television, the only station that is precise, calculative, and anybody else to finish. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let me repeat, precise, calculative, and
educative.
Leo mnaniangusha.
Educative, Doc.
Let's start. Precise, Miriam, and I'm not laughing this time, Miriam. War. Our motto is very clear. Maybe Mr. General Manager, our motto, sir. Let's hear your voice. Our production team, can you do something about our motto? Precise, decisive, and calculative.
Calculative.
That is Matanga. That's aya. Miriam, you are fined 1,000 bob. Send it to me by M-Pesa. Today you are laughing at me from the time I entered here. What have I done wrong? Nothing. Thank you very much. All of you, it is precise, decisive, and calculative. That's what we are. We say exactly, precise, decisive, and calculative. That's it. Let people hate us. Buhari yesterday had it. So many people are sending messages. And I'm going to be hitting Buhari on Thursdays, every Thursday. Pakau, until you make a nation workable. We are missing trade in Africa. 200 million people would be trading with us. Our omo, our margarine, our milk. We will not be fighting Uganda. Kenya will not be fighting Uganda over milk. We have plenty of milk and eggs everywhere in East Africa. Our eggs in Kenya, in Uganda are rotting. We would be sending to Nigerians to eat. But because Nigeria is dismembered, Boko Haram killing people, Biafrans being killed, detention is going on. God bless us. God bless this station. It's for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Ciao.